This fatal crash in Jay County garnered national attention. 4 Amish men killed. 13 Investigates reporter Sierra Putman joins us. Sierra, you actually found that was just the start.
You know, after the crash, Alex, many turned to the driver. Our investigation found the company he worked for is also part of a network of carriers the federal government accuses of trying to hide safety issues and past crashes.
I've got a rod from here up.
Donald Stipp has scars he can't hide.
Tore my arteries up.
Scars of survival.
I have staples all through everywhere.
Following this February 3rd crash. This is Donald 10 days later.
You know, I thank the good Lord above, but then I asked him, why me? You know, I don't understand why you saved me.
4 of his passengers perished. Members of the Amish community, his co-workers.
They're nice people.
Donald was just minutes from getting them home when a semi-driver swerved into their lane and hit their van head on.
He didn't hit his brakes, that I could tell.
Thomas Williams was driving right behind the van.
He missed me by about 15, 20 feet.
Williams shared these pictures of the aftermath on State Road 67 in Jay County. Blue tarps cover the bodies of the men who died. Donald was partially ejected, and Williams reports cutting his seatbelt to free him. Do you remember that crash?
I don't remember nothing.
Anything at all?
Nothing.
Likely a blessing.
I mean, every time I close my eyes, I see that accident.
An accident that meant all eyes turned to the semi-driver, a citizen of Kyrgyzstan who now faces criminal charges, including reckless homicide and criminal recklessness. On Facebook, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy also focused on the trucking company, AJ Partners. Duffy accused the company of being part of a chameleon carrier network. Attorney David Craig is not involved with this case, but says chameleon carriers have been a problem for decades.
It's a bad trucking company that changes its colors, changes its skin, and morphs into a different company.
Federal reports dating back to 2012 say chameleon carriers create significant safety risks. These are companies that swap different DOT numbers and company names to hide past safety violations, reputational scars that are supposed to follow them even through a rebrand. The Trump administration has taken action against foreign drivers by limiting access to commercial driver's licenses. And trucking industry experts tell 13 Investigates that may help with chameleon carriers, but Steve Bryan cautions against focusing only on those drivers.
That's not why 5,000 people a year are involved in these terrible crashes. It's not blame the immigrant time.
Bryan is with Blue Wire, a trucking data company. For decades, chameleon carriers have plagued the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the agency tasked with regulating the trucking industry. Despite that, the government does not know how many of the high-risk carriers are out there. But this 2012 report found more than 1,100 new motor carrier applicants in 2010 showed signs of being chameleon carriers. The data also showed they were 3 times more likely to be in a severe crash. Bryan and others tell 13 Investigates FMCSA's failure to address the problem is fueling a rise in companies acquiring multiple DOT numbers, allowing them to create chameleon carriers. Those numbers are free and required to set up shop.
I would argue we don't need thousands of new trucking companies coming in every month in an environment where the agency only has the resources to do compliance reviews on a couple of thousand a year. It's a complete mismatch.
Rob Carpenter with TruckSafe Consulting supports making it harder to get a DOT number. He says the government could charge for one or increase freight authorization fees. He knew almost immediately that this crash involved a chameleon carrier because he recognized the truck markings.
This is happening right after we had been following them for the past 6 or 8 months of door swapping, marking swapping, plate swapping. So we knew, it's just nobody did anything yet.
Carpenter showed us a series of images that he says shows AJ Partners carrying freight after the crash, but before the federal government shut them down about a week later. The pictures come from GenLogs, a service that uses AI and a nationwide network of roadside sensors, satellites, and data sets to track trucking movements.
And the federal government doesn't have this program.
Carpenter thinks FMCSA needs to better utilize data and new technology like this to help identify problem carriers, especially since 92% of carriers do not receive an on-site compliance review by the agency. As for new carriers, they're supposed to receive a safety audit within their first year.
But keep in mind, the entire mindset of a chameleon carrier is they're not planning on being here in 12 months.
A lag in oversight that can allow chameleon carriers to operate in the shadows, which can lead to life-changing crashes like Donald's.
Do you think you're going to go back to driving and help? No.
No, I'll never get in another van again.
We reached out to AJ Partners and the other companies accused by the U.S. Department of Transportation of being part of that chameleon carrier network. So far, we have not heard back. Right now, Congress is looking at a proposed law to address chameleon carriers. And Alex, it's actually called the SAFE Act, and it was filed shortly after that horrible crash in Jay County.
Now, Sierra, what's the latest on the criminal case against the driver?
Well, that's still moving forward, even though U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, picked him up shortly after this crash. For the last few months, he's bounced back and forth between the Jay County Jail and an ICE detention center.
All right, Sierra Putman, thank you so much. Investigative reporters across our company took a deep look into this issue and the hidden dangers on the road. You can watch Blind Spots on demand right now on WTHR+.